No one on the USS Laffey knew that April 16, 1945 would become the day their ship earned the title that history would never forget. April 16, 1945, dawn broke slowly over the waters north of Okinawa, lighting the sea in pale silver. On the horizon, far ahead of the U.S. invasion fleet, sailed a single destroyer, USS Laffey, DD-724, quietly performing one of the deadliest assignments in the Pacific War, radar picket duty. To sailors, it was a mission with a reputation almost as terrifying as the Kamikazes themselves. Ships sent to the picket line were placed dozens of miles from support, acting as the first shield and first target when the Japanese launched their massive air attacks. The men aboard Laffey knew the danger, but none of them knew that this morning would become the fight of their lives. At 8:27 a.m., the stillness shattered. The radar screens lit up like fireworks. Dozens of enemy aircraft were diving in from different angles. Within seconds, the crew went to battle stations as the ship's alarm screamed through the steel corridors. Then, rising out of the haze, the first Japanese plane appeared, a D-3A Val bomber diving straight toward the forward guns. The sky erupted. Laffey's 5-inch, 40mm, and 20mm guns opened up in a deafening roar, tracers slicing across the air. The bomber burst into flame, but behind it came another, then another, until the ship was surrounded by the sound of engines, gunfire, and the hammering of explosions. For the next 90 minutes, Laffey was caught in a storm from every direction. Kamikazes plunged so low their wingtips skimmed the waves. Bombers released explosives at point-blank range. Fighters strafed the decks, forcing sailors to drop flat as bullets tore across the steel. The guns were firing so fast their barrels glowed red, sometimes needing buckets of water to cool them. Men operated their weapons even while wounded, some with bandaged hands, some limping, some refusing medical treatment just to keep firing. It wasn't just a battle, it was survival, measured 1 second at a time. Suddenly, a kamikaze broke through the gunfire and slammed into Laffey's port side in a fireball, showering the deck with debris and burning aviation fuel. Moments later, a second suicide plane hit the aft guns, killing several crewmen instantly. Flames surged upward, smoke swallowing entire sections of the ship, but through the smoke, Captain Frederick Beckton stood firm. When someone shouted, "Captain, shall we abandon ship?" Beckton roared back with a command now carved into naval history. "No, we're staying. This ship will never sink." His defiance electrified the crew, even as explosions rocked the deck, even as fires raged unchecked, even as 4 kamikazes and multiple bombs tore into the destroyer. The men fought on. The aft guns kept firing even while surrounded by flames. Electricians rerouted power through smoking cables to keep the turrets alive. Damage control teams battled fire and flooding with whatever they could grab: hoses, buckets, even bare hands. At one point, 6 enemy planes dove in simultaneously, from above, from behind, from both sides, a coordinated kamikaze strike meant to overwhelm the destroyer in one final blow. But Laffey's guns carved through the sky with a ferocity no one thought humanly possible. One kamikaze exploded just feet away, another cartwheeled into the ocean, another crashed onto the deck and skidded into the sea on the opposite side. The ship was burning, battered, and bleeding steel, but still alive. When the last Japanese plane finally fell into the ocean, the sea grew quiet again, leaving behind smoke, wreckage, wounded men, and a destroyer that should have been sinking, but wasn't. Laffey's decks were cratered, her guns shattered, her superstructure torn apart, but she remained afloat, scarred but undefeated. On that brutal morning, USS Laffey survived 22 attacking aircraft, 6 direct kamikaze hits, 4 bomb strikes, strafing runs, and near misses, all in just 90 minutes. And because she refused to die, she earned the title no other warship could claim: the ship that would not die.